Yay!
Wish we had some Muppet music or something, right?
We will eventually, I feel like we're getting closer every day to getting our theme song out there, which is ironic because today we're going to be talking to a musician. Maybe
Really?
give us some tips about how to handle getting this music queued up for our show. Or maybe he'll write a song for us.
Wouldn't that be lovely?
Wouldn't that be nice? I'm Melinda McKinsey.
And I'm Tom Wise.
We're going to unpack some shit with you today. We're going to do a quick couple things, and then we do have our guest, Korby Lenker, coming up. Korby Lenker wrote this book, Medium Hero. He's a musician. I consider him a friend. I met him at a music event, and I'll be curious when we talk to see if he remembers how we all make up our own stories. He might think I'm a weird stalker. I think we're friends.
We've turned into the regular morning show. We have a little chit chat, bring in a guest, have a coffee, right?
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, I forgot my coffee in the other room. I'm really sad about it. So do you have anything you want to bring up? Because I wrote a couple musical things since we're kind of in the music theme here today.
Well, I have a couple of topics. I have a follow-up as well.
Yes.
We talked about toilet paper the other day.
Oh, we must know the follow-up on the toilet paper. Tell me. Is that the bad one?
It says professional on it.
Oh, that's the professional one. I still don't understand what makes toilet paper professional, because to me, I would think industrial, that wouldn't be good, right?
Industrial says one thing. Industrial says cheap to me. All
right, professional means higher quality.
Yeah. Now, is it backwards?
It looks perfect. It looks great.
Because on my screen, it's backwards.
And so you are recommending Cottonelle Professional toilet paper.
I'm done shitting around back there.
I like the 2-ply or the 3-ply, the really puffy ones, whatever that is.
This has got grooves on it.
It has grooves.
Yeah, let me show you.
You like what you like, Tom.
Well, it was like 3 months ago. I was in a CVS, and it was just when they were saying there's another shortage coming. Remember, there was kind of a second wave of shortages.
Yes, of course.
And I'm staring at this. I'm going, I might as well just throw it in the bag. It's $7 or whatever it was. See, grooves.
Okay, all right. Well,
it's like if you've gone skiing, right? Snow skiing.
Sure.
And then they groom the runs.
Yes. So that's what that is. Good to know. I'm so glad that you're following up on your toilet paper update.
You thought I was full of, but no, there was a professional.
I believed you. You're the one that doesn't believe me. I don't doubt you, Tom.
Really?
You're a king among men.
All right. I've got 2 other things I could talk about. We've got 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Okay. What would you like? Tell me your topics. I'll tell you mine.
5 stars. Oh, 3. Drop an egg, foot flush.
Foot flush? That sounds like a nursing home question. Okay. I have, if you're about to get into a fight, what would your soundtrack be?
That's not a sound. That's not a, let's have the titles 3 syllables.
Are you correcting me and bossing me at the same time? I felt that one through the screen. I felt it. Holy shit.
I want to ask you a question, because I always put the tags on today's topics on the, on the webpage.
Yes.
And then you clearly, it seems to me like, it sounds like she's trying to write these tags rather than giving me the information.
It's how I think. I give you the information the way I think it. You're the boss of all things. You can write whatever you want.
I mean, do you ever see this and go, I thought my tag was pretty good and he's changed it to something else?
No, I never do. I look at the tags and think, that's cool.
Well, all right. As long as I feel that's my domain. I appreciate your efforts. So sometimes I take your tags and sometimes I make an adjustment.
Yeah, no, I'm cool with whatever. I mean, sometimes I think I'm funny and that's why I share it.
Of course. It's funny because Patrick is having an issue with a professional. Him and his scattergraphs and reports and but it's technical stuff. He's a hydrogeologist and he gets paid good money to have professional assessments. Oh,
Yes.
Vietnam is calling. Should I answer it?
Vietnam? Well, I don't know if you should take that.
Yeah, they're gone. Anyway, he's having a war of words with this woman that he's doesn't have to be this man or woman, just happens to be an older woman that he's worked with for a long time. He's correcting her, you know, her evaluation, but she's a PhD. Patrick is not a PhD. So they have a pissing contest. Patrick says, "No, dear, this phrase is a little unclear. Let me rewrite this. Let me correct your spelling."
Patrick has too much downtime. He shouldn't.
Well, but he feels obligated because his name is on the report, and he's just bringing her in as a consult.
Oh, well, she's a consult. He can do whatever he wants.
I know,
It's kind of like you and me.
but
I'm-
she has to sign off on the corrections.
And she won't? Is that the problem?
She doesn't want to sign off on any correct. She'll sign off on the correct spelling corrections.
I mean, here's my issue. You could give me a blank page and have me sign it, and I would. Then you can fill it in later. Like, I'm very loosey goosey about.
That's you and me. That's why we're not hydrogeologists filling out reports, technical reports. I could give a shit.
Hydrogeologist. I am not. Patrick's the only one I know.
Well, Patrick even admits, he goes, no one's going to read this report. They just want, but they need the PhD to be involved in it. It's just like you, you marry, you're buying the PhD. People do that all the time.
Of course. Yes,
right?
Of course.
I mean, I'd almost guarantee you that the 12 people that watch the podcast and listen give a shit of what I put down for today's topics. I mean, does that, what's that?
I think you'd be surprised what people give a shit about.
I would be surprised. I would imagine that I didn't.
So you didn't like the way I said, if you're about to get in a fight, what would your song be? How would you like me to say that? I'll do it this way.
I'm just kidding.
Nope. I'm changing it. One thing I'd like to talk about are song fights. Song fights is one of my topics.
See, the way I see that is that I like to, me, I like to be a little disguise my topic with something that might be a misdirection.
I know, but I'll tell you why I did it this way.
Yeah.
I wanted you to have.
You don't have to be me. I'm an asshole. You don't have to be me. I wanted you
to have time to think about it, because I don't think it's that easy of a question. And then I had a couple other topics, so that way it was ruminating. Because I don't think if you asked anybody, they'd go, "I am the tiger." Like, it takes a second to think of what your fight song would be.
Right. I like fight song as a tag for that topic.
Okay. Fight song.
Because the people are thinking, high school or college, or they're professional, mostly college fight song.
Right. Well, that's true too.
You're giving us a twist.
That's true. I also want to talk about Hulu's Billie Holiday movie. It's so provoking, and I learned so much about Billie Holiday that I had no idea.
Are you the same person that tags the New York Times on Facebook, and then people can't read the article because it's a New York Times? They don't have a subscription. Because that's maddening.
I am not. And I know you don't like me to recommend Hulu, but other people do purchase Hulu. You just don't, but other people do. And I would never tag something that someone has to open that way, because I feel like for the most part, when you do that, there's a lot of ads and stuff, and nobody opens things.
Essentially, you're tagging Hulu to something that people can't.
Well, I'm telling you, it's thought provoking, and everybody must watch the United States versus Billie Holiday. Everybody, I'll give you my Hulu passcodes.
Now we're talking.
It's fascinating.
Now
and
you've got my attention.
I learned there's a part of history that I didn't know, how the feds really chased her down and tried to ruin her.
They were horrible.
So fight song, Billie Holiday. I want to continue on. Cuomo is so fucked. It gets worse every day for him.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Every day.
See, this is why, if you're in politics, this is why, not for nothing. It's if you're like a law firm, or you're a, Johnson & Johnson, right? You're a big corporation. They don't want a bunch of single fuckers that are floating around. They want guys with old wives that, let's keep somebody to reel this son of a bitch in. We don't want him running up and down the steno pool. We don't want him hassling secretaries and salespeople. This is why we prefer old married guys to be in positions of authority.
It's not just the sex stuff, Tom. It came out.
But wait, there's more.
he purposely cut the numbers of people that died in nursing homes from COVID by 50%. It has now come out that he said, you're cutting this. We're not giving these numbers.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm like, it's the sex stuff is bad enough, but this is like people were dying, man. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Cuomo,
not good.
he said he won't resign, but I mean, here's the thing. Trump got by with a lot of stuff. I know it's not fair to compare, but like definitely Republicans have said, look, let's not focus on it. You know that the Republicans are going to rip Cuomo to shreds and say he's got to go.
Well, you know what? If I was a Republican, if I was Cuomo, I could give a shit what the Republicans think. Please.
I agree.
Please, you guys don't go. You guys, well, your opinion means zero to me. You're denying COVID. You're denying the numbers. You're denying everything. So you don't get a vote in here.
Agreed. So, but doesn't care what anybody thinks about him. He's staying. He's not going anywhere. So it'll be interesting. But he's just super fucked.
Yeah, it's not good. This is what happens. You're a public servant. You got to roll out the numbers. You can't hide this stuff
because people be better.
Well, and the beauty of our system is that people are always looking at your crap. You got people that will love to get you in trouble, and if you think you are bulletproof, you are wrong, because this is what we need the press for. We need the press. We need an opposition party to look at your shit.
Yes. So, all right. So you had like 3 topics. We probably have time to hit one before Korby gets on.
Well, let's try one.
Let's try.
Do you want controversial or fun and frolically?
Oh, you know what? Let's frolic.
Foot flush. When you go to the bathroom at a public restroom.
Yes.
How are you flushing? Really? What if it's down 2 feet off the ground, back by the thing? Have you ever used your foot? I guess that's the question.
I can't think of a time, with all my travels, and I was in airport bathrooms a lot. I can't think of a time that it was ever low to the ground no, never. I never, ever.
So you've never used your foot?
I've never ever considered using my foot. It's never crossed my mind, not even once, to use my foot. Nope. Is this a tall person thing?
I guess maybe it is, because I was way down there, and I don't want to touch anything. I would have to lean all the way to my head in the bowl.
Really? Is that a distinction between the men's and women's restrooms? Because I don't think
I've only been in 3 dozen ladies' rooms. Okay.
I've definitely, a couple of times at the airport, I walked into the men's restroom. One time I fully used it, didn't know it was the men's restroom. And because I was in a hurry, I walked out and a guy was walking in. I remember looking at him thinking, asshole.
What's he going in the ladies' report? Here comes Korby. Are you ready?
Yeah, we're ready for Korby.
Sorry, I'm glad we didn't do the heavy topic.
Yeah, and hopefully the volume and everything.
Oh, hey!
Because here's the thing with doing our setups. Well, he's a sound guy too, so I'm sure that he'll have it together. There. Oh, he got the professional.
Oh, look at this rack focus in the back.
Korby has all of this stuff together.
Okay,
can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay,
here I am.
So I'm so glad you made it. I know you're very busy.
I was gonna wear a jacket. Shit.
Hey, I'm.
God damn it!
I'm bringing my A game here, guys. Not to outdo anybody.
Well, so Korby, I was trying to introduce you, and to be fair, I don't think I can give your introduction justice. I will say I claimed that we were friends, and I hope that's not an overstep, because I adore you. So if you could introduce yourself to everyone.
Well, what about that book that's next to you?
Well, we're gonna get to the book.
It's so sweet. Look at this. It's you have visual aids.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about
better than the other type of aids.
So, fill us in, Korby. Who are you?
Well, let's see here. I live in East Nashville. I have for about 15 years. I've been a professional touring singer-songwriter for a long time, coming on 20 years now.
Wow.
And I, a couple of years ago, had a collection of short stories that I wrote get published, which has been interesting. And pivoted, during the pandemic, a little bit before, but it really kind of took hold during the pandemic to an acting thing. So I'm doing a fair bit of work as an actor. Hence, this is not my typical getup. I just did an audition right before we got together, so this is sort of my Dwight from The Office look. Um, but yeah, I kind of like I guess I would characterize myself as a lifelong creative. I'm just really interested in all things creative and the process and maintenance of creative work over time.
I love it. I love it.
Absolutely. So you decided you're going to forego some sort of 9 to 5, become a lawyer or something I'm going to make and I don't know where my next paycheck's coming from. And it's a long time to do that.
Man, I've been doing it. It's like sometimes I look at that and I'm like, seriously, you're still like living 2 months out. Like that's
Right.
really good for me. And yeah, like I don't know what I'm gonna be doing next year, but maybe there's a part of it that's just you learn how to, you just adjust to that uncertainty, and over time it gets maybe easier. Especially, I don't have a kid,
Yep.
so that's a big lessening of obligation.
Sure.
But yeah,
Well,
it's definitely like super stressful at times, but
of course.
there's another piece of it too that's just like as technology culture changes, culture changes, people's taste, the way by which people consume art changes, and you really do have to be cognizant of that and willing to be flexible. And that's been probably the most interesting thing about my job over time is negotiating that. And I feel like honestly, I'm better at keeping my head up and adjusting accordingly than I was 10 years ago. But 10 years ago, I was more just like, this is what I do. And I just need people to accept me as, who I am, whatever that might mean.
Right.
I still feel that way, but I'm a little more willing to reach out and
Yeah.
embrace the different ways that you can make something authentic. It doesn't have to be a book. I am and always will be a book nerd, and I think that probably the writing is the most basic to who I am. But I was a bit of a Luddite for a long time in terms of all things technology. I still have absolutely, like, with regards to music, ac- acoustic leanings and loyalties. But I'm like surrounded by all kinds of MIDI gear. I got, I'm running a live stream now and constantly kind of adjusting to that, and just sort of, embracing the power over your personal expression that technology can bring. So.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. Tom and I have talked a lot about that. We're both independent contractors and, working from home, we're in charge of all the technology, and that is not our wheelhouse at all. We
Yeah.
struggle with it on a regular basis and trying to be open to it and not frustrated by it, because that's just the way the world is right now. So I did want to real quickly tell Corby. So my memory of how I feel like, oh, we might be friends is and I'm sure your story's different because we all have our stories in our heads, but I had just moved to New York. I'd already seen you musically and enjoyed you, thought you were a lovely person, didn't really know you. And you had a gig in New York. I don't remember where it was at, but I remember I was working and I was dying to see you. And by the time I got there with the trains and everything, your show was already over and you were coming out, and you were very angry because you did not have the time you
wow.
wanted to have. The people didn't show up that you wanted to show up. And I remember, we didn't, do you remember this, Corby? You
I
didn't.
mean, I've been frustrated so many times
Very
in my
angry.
career.
Well, but here's the sweet turnaround with this, because we didn't really know each other. You had every right to have those feelings. I was in a different headspace because I was super excited to see you.
Yeah.
We ended up, it was the place that had the ping
It was
pong
the ping
table.
pong parlor.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember
Yes.
now.
So you and I ended up sitting down, having a drink, and having a very nice chat. And I remember feeling your energy relax. And then you started to become more engaged. And I remember thinking, thank goodness, because I never wanted you to feel trapped. But I feel like that was a pivotal moment where it's like, hey, if you ever want to hang out, if you ever need anything, for me, that was the moment where I was like, wow, I really like Korby Lenker.
Well, thank you for sticking with me through the hard times. Um, No, I do remember that now. And I mean, you're obviously a bright light and a bright spirit and endlessly optimistic. At least that's what you portray. And even over time, I've known you, we've hung out a bunch
I
Yeah.
agree.
over years. And you continue to be, I relate to this piece of you, Melinda, which is just that glass half full. You tend to give people the benefit of the doubt. And you're always kind of searching for what's next. And you're like, you have like an endlessly youthful search and thirst for
Oh,
something
I'll
more.
take
You know what
that.
I mean?
Thank you.
I mean, it's fun.
I'd
It's great
agree.
energy to be around.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. You know, I just had my 60th birthday.
See, unbelievable.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope that my skin is as nice as yours.
Amen to that.
Right. So speaking about being, working for yourself and sticking it through, because a lot of people will look to someone like you or to Tom or even myself and say, how did you keep going? What was it inside of you that allowed you, even when times were tough and you weren't getting the support you needed? What would you say, Korby, helped you along the way and kept you going, saying, you know what, I am going to do what I love?
That's a great question. And I think that a pivotal moment for me happened when I was about 30, 32. I'd moved to Nashville after having, a 10-year career basically in the Pacific Northwest. I'd put out like 6 or 7 records. And so I moved to the big show to take my shot. Immediately floundered and was thrust into a new self-perception, which was that I was no longer going to be able to keep myself afloat financially by playing music if I chose to live in Tennessee. And nobody cared. And it was really like, oh shit, what, I guess I get a straight job now. I'd never done that. And I ended up getting a job parking cars at a hotel, which happened for about 3 years. I had that job full time, and I did other gigs and stuff, but I had this like that was my steady thing. And it was like kind of during that time, it was best thing that ever could have happened to me for a couple of reasons. One was it shifted me from being a little bit, I mean, I didn't think of myself this way then, but probably was true. I was a bit of a prima donna because I'd always been able to keep myself afloat with my music. And so that was just like, well, I'm the man, that's what I do. And all of a sudden I wasn't. And in the absence of that, I had to I had to question, well, are you a lifer, or is this kind of the end of an era for you? And is it time to grow up? And when I was in my 20s, I was always like, backup plan was like, I'll just go back to grad school. I liked school. I liked studying. I was happy in college. And so that seemed like a decent alternative. And so that was really that moment. I'm like, oh, this is the time when you stop doing this idiot thing and grow up and do something more sensible. And I'm like, well, I took a look at my life and I was doing something that was, basically menial. And I found that like, I didn't hate it. I liked the structure and in having my creative work be independent of financially. I didn't make very much money, but I made enough to keep it all together. Right. And I really, really enjoyed the freedom that came with having a little bit of a straight job. And it was during that time that I got more in. That's when I wrote most of the book. Okay. And I got really involved in video editing and filming. I bought cameras and I started shooting other people and just getting like a broader skill set, because I didn't know. I realized that I only knew how to write songs. I only knew how to be like the artist guy, the guy on stage. And that was like untenable all of a sudden. And so it was like, well, what else can you do? You're a smart guy. Figure some shit out. Maybe you can like get behind a computer. Maybe you can learn how to edit videos for other people. Maybe you can kind of figure out a new way forward. So that was really helpful. So I learned other skills, maybe in a sentence, that were sort of commensurate with what I was already interested in. Like I have a bit of an eye, aesthetically, and I like people. And so it's like, well, what can I do there? That was one thing. Maybe that's a good answer. That was a long.
No,
answer.
That's a great answer.
I love it.
Yeah.
There's something to be said for menial work. I mean, there's something to be said for just going out and working where you're not, you're handling problems. You're just doing your physical body, showing up and taking care of the task. Like I I could enjoy, mowing the lawn or doing the dishes, that type of work where you're mindless. It's like, but I'm achieving something. I like something at the beginning, the middle, and it's when you're walking away at 5 o'clock, you're done with it or whatever it is.
Absolutely. And I found also that I enjoyed doing a good, this is so like, Johnny Hero. I enjoyed doing a good job. I liked,
Absolutely.
like, here, show me the requirement.
Right.
Show me what it means to excel. And then like, okay, I can do that. That was fun. It was like a fancy hotel. And so they were all about like, protocol and like making sure you open the doors for people, and you had to address people a certain way, and you had to stand on the curb a certain way. And I was kind of like, I was into it. Like,
Yeah, I get it. I was listening to another podcast, the guy talking about, I want to be the best, shit shoveler there is. If I'm going to do something, I want to be the best at it. It's a good way to think, rather than this is beneath me. I should,
Right.
why am I parking this guy's car? I could be doing whatever the hell he's doing.
I think
Yeah.
that's an important thing to turn a corner to turn in your mind, is getting away from things that you think are beneath you.
Yes.
That's huge. Isn't that huge?
Yeah.
I've been humbled so much in my life, and I recognized during those processes of being humbled that nothing is really beneath me. That
Yeah.
I'm willing. I don't think I'm better than anybody. I don't think I deserve more than anybody. If anything else, I feel like the more I opened to that concept, the better my life became, quite honestly. Like, more came my way. And then it was very exciting for me to share that. For me,
Yeah.
that was really like the pinnacle of like, wow, I'm super happy right now. I get it.
Well, it's a shift from an entitlement perspective to a service perspective, and I think at the end of the day, we're in, be it, the entertainment industry, acting, or music, it's essentially a service industry. And if you're not providing a service that people want, then you're not doing the work.
Right.
And that service, obviously with acting, it changes a lot. Like, acting is a great exercise in humiliation on a regular basis, I have found. Like, what casting directors will ask you to do or surprise you with. And it's hilarious. You have to like have a great sense of humor to just
Right.
keep at it. But it's fun, and I do enjoy that challenge of, well, what, with my resources limited or whatever, how can I best serve this job? Like, and then like just going at it like that. And you can kind of approach that with almost anything in your life. I mean, even my relationships, I'm not like a master at any of this by any stretch of the imagination, but I do find that perspective is helpful, right?
Absolutely. And then when you're working, that helps you because people see you as somebody that's willing to do whatever it takes for a successful outcome.
Absolutely. I mean, that's just, people are sensitive to that, and they're like, here's a guy or a girl we can call on, and they're going to do their best.
Right.
Right.
They don't know, they're going to still try, or they're going to be honest with me, or, whatever. People, that's who I want to work with.
Yeah. Absolutely. Have you had that happen in your life, Korby, where maybe you've had a working relationship with someone, and it didn't really stick in your mind, but they came back later and it kind of became a full circle kind of a scenario?
Well, I think that's definitely happened. And it's, I mean, with the gig stuff in music, that's absolutely the case, where there'll be things that I showed up for and maybe the gig was terrible. I mean, the fact that we're talking right now is in some sense an example of this, where, I don't think that I put my best foot forward initially, apparently. I don't remember. It's quite unpleasant.
He was angry.
He was angry. When I met Korby, he was angry. But we stuck it out, and we had a drink, and it was really fun. And, we had a real connection, and that's persevered over time. And, we've chilled out many times. I've crashed at your house.
Yeah.
You've come to Nashville for dinner. I mean, like, and I know that you've connected me. I remember when my book came out, you helped me out a lot in the morning TV stuff.
Oh, great. I'm glad.
You put words out to producers. Like, I remember the Portland, it's like
Oh,
Oregon
yes.
Today or
Yes.
something. They had me on, and that was all you that did that.
I
So,
forgot about that. Yeah, of
Mhm.
course. I mean, that's really what it's all about, though. And I feel like Tom's the same way. And I feel like that's why we've kind of reached where we've reached in our life, where nothing makes me happier than connecting people. I think connecting people is such a joyous experience to see how people blossom and grow. And I loved your book. I've read it a couple different times. And I think that the whole connection thing, the whole thing coming full circle is so fascinating, because I know I'll go to some studios, and I'm busy and I'm in my headspace and I don't always remember everybody. And then sometime later, someone will reach out to me and say, I loved meeting you. Would you do? And I was like, wow, I don't even remember meeting this person. I'm so glad they remembered me that way. It's so nice that people are willing to do that thing. And I think in our industry, working for yourself, it's so important because you are all you have.
Hmm.
That's it. That's
Yeah,
all you got.
absolutely. I mean, there's that old saying, people don't remember what you say, they remember how you make them feel. And
Yes.
Yeah.
that it's so true.
Hmm.
And I definitely try to be conscious of that with, all of, like every time I have a professional gig or otherwise, when you're on set, making sure that you don't just thank the producer, but thank the gaffer. Thank the kid standing behind the coffee machine. Like,
Amen.
ask him his name. He's never going to forget that. And that kid's going to grow up and in 10 years is maybe going to be running a show and be like, you know what? Well, that Melinda lady was a cool chick. I'm going to call her. And, that's to say that, like, I really do. This is like basic to my professional philosophy is that every gig is an audition.
Yes.
If I'm playing a show, it's great when people come out and see me play, but really what they're going to do when they leave, they're going to be like, wow, that was great. I'd go see him again. I'll go
Right.
see him next time he's in
Absolutely.
town. Or they'll be like, yep, Korby Lenker, check. Like saw a show nobody's about. And
Yeah.
it's like you got to turn that next corner. It's not about just giving people a positive experience. It's about giving them an experience that they want to come back for. And I feel like the same way with casting directors, agents. I mean, like yeah, it does pay off absolutely when you're
Agreed.
good to everybody.
Yes.
So, so do you do just your own music? Do you ever do cover music? How do you feel about that? Where you?
Uh, that's a great question. I mean, I made a career out of writing original songs and being a touring singer songwriter. So that's my meat and potatoes. But
Yeah.
and lately, I have kind of been like, it's just like I'm kind of in a shifting place of just like getting more into a service mentality, and like what does that mean? And part of that means like I like people to resonate with songs that I've written, but I also it's just like fun to throw songs at people that they're just like that make them feel something because they recognize it.
Right.
And like to that point, at the beginning of the pandemic, I worked up. I grew up in the '80s and '90s, and Cheers was a huge show. Where everybody knows your name,
Yep.
and that theme song was just like iconic, right? Everybody of a generation or two or three generations really knows that song, and not only knows that song, but it like immediately pulls on this nostalgic feeling and it's comfort
Sure.
food. So anyway, I like worked up a live version of that and posted it on YouTube. And then I worked up a tutorial afterwards, and was it like it's like anybody could follow that tutorial and learn how to play that song on piano with it, like even
Right.
middle chops.
Yeah.
And that's an example of like, and I'm doing more stuff like that as I shift into this kind of more live streamy
Yeah.
universe. I have like a weekly show every Wednesdays at 9 o'clock, and it's short, like half an hour, 40 minutes. And it's a different set each night. And it's mostly my songs, but I do a cover every week, a different cover and a fan suggested cover. So fans kind of
Oh, that's nice.
I'm in and they're like, hey, play this song. And then I'll learn it for the next week and I'll just like give it a shot. It'll be my version of that thing. And it's good for me because it's like it always keeps me learning new stuff, learning new songs and learning other people's songs is a really great way to grow musically. But it's also just like that effort to, kind of give something that's easy to like.
That's
Yeah. I
that's
love that.
absolutely.
What's the number one song that you've written that people are always like, do this, play this? Because I know I have a lot of favorites, but is there one that rises above the rest that everybody calls for?
I mean, probably My Little Life is the
Yeah.
most popular song that I've
Yeah,
done.
that's a great song though. But it's everything. It's happy, it's sweet, it's got you play the uke for that,
The
right?
ukulele, yeah, it's got a little
Yeah.
shucks quality to it. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's also like that song's basic to my personality in a sense. I mean, the message of the song, my little life, my little life, my little life is mine, mine, mine. And the verses are all about all the things that the character, the narrator doesn't have.
Yeah.
I like he's just like a guy by himself in his apartment, but he's like, that's just fine. My little life is mine, mine, mine. And it's about being happy with, what you got. And, people kind of respond to that, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great song. That's a good one. So Tom, did you have a specific Tom does he has musical interests at his home. He plays guitar and the drums, but he says he's not very good. Do you want to ask Korby any musical advice?
Well, no. Yeah, take
God forbid.
practice more. So you're playing the piano and the guitar?
I play
Primarily?
guitar, piano, and banjo. I play clawhammer banjo as
Oh,
of a
that's
couple of
fun.
years ago. I got into it, and then any kind of string stuff, and then piano.
Well, it's funny because my girls, I've got twin girls, they just turned 25, and they play the piano. They teach piano, and I encourage them to do like dueling pianos. I said, boy, wouldn't this be unique? Play a
Mm.
bunch of classics, but they also do a lot of writing as well. So I said, well, bring people in with the stuff that they know, and then feed them a couple of your good songs because they've
Yeah.
written songs as well. So
Are they doing that?
they were doing it a little bit here in Florida. Then they moved to Chicago. Then the pandemic, so they haven't done anything.
Mm.
But it's
They're young.
yeah, they're young, but I think it's always that dynamic between doing your own stuff and then doing cover music. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, it's hard because cover music's like, it's like fast food, and that's
Yes.
a terrible analogy, but it's just like it's
No.
really easy to like,
It's
and you're
cheap.
just playing stuff to people that's really familiar. But
Right.
it's pretty different to switch into a thing where it's like this is your own song, and to try to like get people to like that. I mean, that's
No,
that's what I've been doing for 20 years.
that's
With
great. Having people
mixed
come out.
results.
Yeah, you're the headliner. People coming out to see you. That's got to be very, very satisfying.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about that. It's just it's nice to have the opportunity, and the trick is then to keep staying creative and keep. I mean, here's the weird challenge. Like candidly, where I'm at is that at some point you've written way too many songs for even a 2-hour show.
Right.
And so what you end up doing is like that when you write a new song, if you love it, it's going to kick out an old song that you love too. So you're like songs are competing against each other in a weird way. And at least this is the way I look at it. And so
Sure.
the motivation has to be like just your own desire to stay in this like creative spirit. There's not really a reward in a certain way for generating new songs after a certain point. But then what? You're just going to hang out for 20 years and just ride your laurels and shit that
Right.
you wrote, in previous decades. That sounds much worse than
Right.
just
Yeah.
continuing to write songs and take shots. But
Right.
yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah, I do a little stand up, and if you get 5 minutes every now and again, if you're writing new material, something's got to go to bring in something else.
Yeah, I guess that's the nature of all creative work. It's just
Yeah.
like, yeah, not
Well, I
easy.
think
Never
that
gets easy.
when I've watched you live, Korby, I think one of my favorite things about you is you feel very authentic, and every time I've seen you play live, I feel like you're very much in the moment. Like when it doesn't feel like my little life has been sung 2,000 times previously
Mhm.
by you. You know what I mean? And I've seen live musicians where I feel like, in their head, they're like, okay, my next song is this, my next song is that. So how are you able, is that just your personality, or how are you able when you're playing for a live audience to be present in that moment and really enjoy the music that you've created?
A desperate need to be loved.
There we go. Turn all the cards over. Now we're talking about it. Please.
I mean, it's funny because like maybe one of the great blessings of my life has been that I never got a major record deal and never had a cadre of people around me sort of making it happen for me.
Okay.
Like I've just been on the fucking street hustling
Yeah.
since I
Yeah.
started. And there's definitely a certain work ethic that comes with that because it's just a survival.
Yeah.
And I've watched people. I've been in it long enough now that when I was 25, I'd see my peers get signed and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm so jealous. And now they're playing these huge shows, and now they're cool, and they got
Right.
lots of money behind them.
Yeah.
But the thing that happened over time, and this is not to a person, but tended to, was that they really needed that team of people around them to do all of the stuff so that they could just kind of be the introverted, mysterious artist.
Yeah.
And that doesn't serve you very well in this day and age. It's like I think that people like accessibility, they like transparency. Also, you don't get to be just a singer-songwriter. You have to be a singer-songwriter slash publicist slash social media maven slash Photoshop editor slash, there's like so many hats you have to wear. And I think that was very fortunate for me, is that I've been learning those skills since at the very beginning. And I'm at peace with them. It's like, it's just part of the process I just have to do. So
if somebody wanted to listen to your music, would they go on YouTube, or do you have a website?
I have a website. It's all on Spotify. I have a record coming out May 21st, full-length record, which I've recorded during the pandemic, and I'm really excited about. And so I'll be making a lot of noise in the next couple of weeks. It's been interesting because the pandemic kind of suited some parts of my personality. The introverted part, I never like to leave my house. I live in Nashville, there's always a lot going on, and all of a sudden I didn't have FOMO, or just, every night of the week, there's you have to make a decision between seeing something you probably should go see and make the scene and show up at, or it's your friend's thing, or staying home and doing something that you probably should be doing. And you can't do both. And I had a year of not having to make that decision, which I've really enjoyed.
That's nice.
So yeah, and I kind of checked. I was a little slower with this. I wasn't as loud and promote-y on the social media stuff. But now that I have this record, I'm like, oh, okay, absolutely back in it. I'm gonna be making a lot of noise, and it's mostly because I love the songs, and I want to, no one
absolutely
gonna do it for me, and I just want to get as many ears on them as possible. So
amen.
Yeah. And so what were you motivated to? So you wrote all of this during the pandemic, then everything that's coming out was written during the pandemic?
No, most of it was written during the pandemic, but there were some songs that were old songs that I had maybe reworked, or stuff that I wrote. I mean, I haven't put out a record since 16 or 17. And so I had a couple of years. There's 2 climber banjo songs on it that I wrote last summer when I was in Montana. And I mean, it's just I'm kind of slow for as much as I try to keep at it. It takes me a while to finish a song that I'm really yeah, that's got that Korby Lenker tang. Also, I'm just I like my songs and my records, and this is consistent across all the records. Each song is kind of a moment. There's kind of a record that some artists make where all the songs sort of hang in the same area, and I think that's what you should do. I think that's smarter commercially. I just have never been able to do that. It's just like my shows. I mean, I play fast songs, slow songs, happy songs,
I love it.
Songs, romantic songs, and I really want to take that listener on a journey and show them as many parts of my life that I've experienced or want to share, in as with as much variety as possible. And so the records reflect that, and so that requires, I don't know, for me, on a song, I really do belabor everything about it, the theme, it's hard to find a hook that's really worth sticking around to finish a song with. But the tempo and the music, the instrument, it's got I mean, I don't write a song unless it's fun to play.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's just you're just sitting there strumming a guitar and this song. But if it's you got that little part, I'm really the guitar player I'm like the lead singer in the band who wishes he was the guitar player. That is my whole It's never good enough. Damn it.
I love it. Well, thanks for joining us today. What a great treat.
It was such a pleasure. Thank you so much. And when your album comes out, then please share that with us so we can promote it on our end as well, because it would be our pleasure to do that as well.
Yeah.
I absolutely will.
Yes, and stay safe and continue being who you are, because I just love you.
You guys too. I love you too, Melinda. And Tom, it was great to meet you, and I can tell that I already love you. So I hope that we all hang out
you too. Thanks, Korby.
in real life.
I love it. Thank you.
All right. Take care, guys.
That's
Bye,
great.
Korby.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks.
Isn't that nice?
So yeah, we'll just have to share all of his stuff on our post. So you've not heard his music, I guess.
No, and I feel badly. I'm very interested. That's the type of music I like. I think of the Beatles that had a variety. They didn't have to turn out the same type of song over and over and over again. So I'm very anxious to listen. Absolutely, especially different instruments.
So fun to watch live. He just has his own. You get lost in his shows, and even though he's just the one guy, like I said, he's very present. You can feel that he's funny, and he'll talk in between and say, clever things, so he keeps you interested. He's not and this is my next song.
Oh, you can see he's well balanced, super smart, great sense of humor.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you want to see that?
Yeah, super fun. So we'll definitely, I didn't know he had a new album coming out. So that's very exciting that we can talk about that. Do you know what the number one song was the year you were born?
Jeepers Creepers.
What I looked up, I think I remember the year you were born. I looked it up and then, every month has like a new whatever. So I pulled up a few songs from the year you
I
were
think
born.
I think I think it was Teddy Roosevelt might have been president when I was born.
One of the number one songs was All I Have to Do Is Dream by the Everly Brothers. Remember?
What year was this? Your birthday?
No, yours. Mine is a whole different slew of songs.
Everly Brothers. I think you're a little early for that. What year did you have me down for, dear?
I don't want to be wrong.
It's all right. Go ahead.
What year were you born?
1958.
That's exactly what I have.
Everly Brothers, really?
Everly Brothers. Witch Doctor by David Seville was another one.
In 1958?
In 1958. Yeah, in 1958.
Seems like those songs remind me of the 60s more than the 50s, but
well, that's what they have. For me, for the year that I was born is
1954.
1942. I wrote down the best songs of all time too, so I don't want to get this wrong. Okay, those are the best songs of all time. Let me go to the best songs of all time so I don't mess this up. Smooth by Santana, one of the best songs of all time from 1999. Do you remember Smooth? With Rob Thomas was a special guest on it.
I all of a sudden I went to Smooth Operator and I know I'm off the wrong
this is
track.
Called Smooth. It's Santana. You would remember it.
I'm sure of it.
The Twist from 60 to 61 was one of the best songs of all time.
Really?
Mac the Knife from 1959.
I talked to Chubby Checker.
Of course you talked to Chubby Checker in your dreams or in real life?
In real life, he was doing he did an infomercial on an exercise machine.
He did?
And Kevin Harrington and Tim Harrington were producing it. And there was some point at which I had to call Chubby Checker and ask him to, we're going to reshoot some parts or something like that. Yeah.
Is he as nice as he seems like he's so nice, wasn't he?
He seemed like a really nice guy.
Oh, absolutely. Good. That's always such a relief when they're nice, right?
Come on, everybody.
Also, one of the most popular songs of all time from 2015, Uptown Funk. Do you remember Uptown Funk?
Of course. How does one determine best song of all time?
Well, when I pulled it up, they did it based on according to this, they did it based on playtime, request, and sales.
Really?
And so these are the most popular of all time. Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting?
That's surprising that it's that. Yeah. That's a good song. I wouldn't say it's the best of all time. Although at some point you got to say something's the best. Something is the best.
No, a couple of the number one songs when I was born is "Take Good Care of My Baby" by Bobby V. Do you remember that song?
Sure.
And "Are You Lonesome Tonight" by Mr. Elvis Presley. So how about that? I mean, that kind of shows. Woo, that was a minute ago. Do you know what the number one song is today? What is the number one song?
I have no idea.
According to Billboard.
WAP?
It's the driver's license song. Do you know it?
I do not.
Oh, it's heartbreaking, Tom. It's by Olivia Rodrigo. They actually did a parody of it last week on Saturday Night Live. It's a song about a girl. She was in love with somebody, and he said it was going to last forever. And now it's not. And so she drives by his house and she talks about getting her driver's license and driving by his house. It's heartbreaking. Driver's license. You have to listen to it.
You know what? It's funny. I distinctly remember being in high school, and now I come from a brother. There's 8 of us, right? 10 years between me and my older brother, and then 5 years between me and Patrick, or 6. I remember being in high school and very much interested in BTO. Every week a new song would come out. I go, this is the best time to live. Every week there's another song that's coming out, and it's just grand.
Tell the kids who BTO is, because I don't know that the young people understand.
Bachman Turner Overdrive. Whenever you go to Staples, you're taking care of business.
Taking care of business. That song played every day, all the time.
You know what? I should have asked Korby if he wrote that song. Would he have sold it to Staples for $3 million?
I'm surprised his music hasn't been sold commercially. I guess you'll know when you start listening to his music, it's very distinguishable. Like you hear it and you're like, that's Korby. You know what I mean?
Oh,
You can tell.
that's important.
Yeah. So maybe we need to hook him up with some commercial salespeople and get some of his
What
shit.
I remember having a conversation with my brother, who's 10 years older than me. So let's call me 17. He's 27. I'm saying,
Yeah.
gosh, that taking care of business song is the cat's pajamas.
Right.
And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I said, I took the vow at that point. I said, you know what? I'm always going to be current on music. I can't ever see any day that I won't know the top 5 songs of the day. Then when I was 27, I had no idea what the hell.
Everybody in the world should know BTO. I mean, it was at a point in our lives where it just took over the airwaves. Taking care of business was everywhere and everybody was happy to hear it.
Oh. And they had like 3 or 4 hits too that everybody loved.
They were the ones. Yeah. So you'll have to listen to Driver's License, and I'll send you some of Korby's songs so you can hear.
Send me some links when you send me
I'll
the
send
topic. Send me some links, and I'll add them. I added that one link to the last.
Absolutely. And it's just korbylenker.com for anybody listening. If you're on iTunes listening, it's easy to find Korby. He's been around, like you said, over 20 years. So he's got a lot of great music. I'm excited about his new album coming out in May.
That's right. Let's circle back and talk about that again.
Absolutely. We absolutely will. So I don't know how much time we have. I know that, I always ask you about sexy tips. So I'm guessing you have a bunch in your back pocket.
The other day I said, oh, that's a great tip. Say that for the show. And of course the tip is long gone.
It's gone. The tip is gone. All right. Anything? I know you're a clever man. You do stand-up comedy. You've got stuff going on. What
I did. I tell you, I did an open mic the other day.
Where?
I did an open mic outside. It was outside at a bar in Tampa. So it started at 9 o'clock and it was outside. Everybody wants to get to the finish line on this thing.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was just nothing but other comics there. And everybody was like just waiting for their turn. Nobody had got anybody ready to laugh about anything. We're not laughing. We're waiting. So
yes.
Those are the worst days to go up. I was halfway through my set, and I even threw in an old joke just to kind of test the crowd. I said, I'm going to give you one of my A jokes.
And nothing.
Go F yourself, old man. So then in the middle, I said, who writes this shit? And then they all laughed at that.
So they were at least listening at some point or another.
Yeah, when I was halfway through just to break up the silence because they're not laughing at anything.
Oh, yeah. Well, these are tough times for stand-up comedians.
Who writes this shit?
That's a good one, Tom. That's a good one. So,
I stole this idea from you, by the way. I still have it.
Oh. Right?
You went up on stage with a gallon of water.
I did. I had a huge jug of water. I had to do 20 minutes though. I had to do 20 minutes and I thought if I panic.
It's a horrible idea. Let me just tell you. Because then I'm just looking at this thing after every effing joke.
What I did was I only wrote key phrases to remind me. So if I got carried away, I could go, oh, the garage joke. And, I could go back into it.
It's called the set list.
Well, but I thought it was clever when I put it on my bottle of water.
I stole your idea and then I would do a joke and then go to the bottle of water. Do a joke, back to the bottle of water.
Just keep drinking furiously.
People are like, really? You think you're fooling anybody?
Then you call it out.
Yes, I can. You
call it out and say, you know what? This is my set list. You guys are not helping, so I've got to go back to the bottle of water every time because you guys suck. Who invited you?
Let me tell you, though, it does save you sometimes. I mean, I remember hosting, and I couldn't remember the guy's name.
I have
the headliner. Out. Hey, put your hands together for...
What did you do when you forgot?
Well, thank God I either wrote it on my hand or I had it on a card.
Yes.
Put your hands together for your headliner. He's hot from Boston, just won 3 tournaments. Blah, 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 blah. You saw him on Johnny Carson.
Oh.
Look at the card. Get his name.
You know who would be fun to have on this show is the comedian that you hosted for in Tampa, Dale Jones. It would be fun to have him.
Oh my God. Dale's insane.
I love him. I follow him on Facebook.
Oh
As a
my
matter of
God.
fact, he's a very nice man. For my cousin's birthday, I was trying to think of
Let me
something
just say
fun.
this. Most men are very nice to attractive ladies. It's not a big leap for them to bring you into their tent and invite you to be and say yes to your invitation to be friends.
I've been very lucky in my life.
Isn't that something? You are lucky.
People have been so nice to me.
Lucky. Huh. How do you find pants with the horseshoe up your ass?
I also feel like though I'm very open and welcoming. So
That's
I think
the lucky part.
I think that helps.
Oh, she looks open. Open for business.
Open for business. Well, I think we should ask Dale to come on.
I love Dale. My God, that would be wonderful.
Right. And I know he said he was struggling during the pandemic, trying to, obviously keep business going because he is a professional full-time stand-up comedian. So yeah, so we'll do that.
Dale's the one guy that I absolutely didn't stop laughing when I would for 50 minutes. I mean, it's like, please stop. You're insane. You're
I
absolutely
couldn't hear all of his jokes. I was laughing so hard from the previous one, and he had gotten to the second one, and I was still trying to catch my breath.
There's a good headliner. And people want to go see, some name guy, some name comic at a 20,000 seat stadium. I go, no. I take it if I get free tickets, or just to say, yeah, I saw Bill Burr at whatever. Right. But if you can get a good touring comic, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, they know their stuff. So we'll do that. So all right. So your tip of the day was
go to a comedy club, wear a mask, get the shot, go to a comedy club, laugh your ass off.
Support your local comedians, please and thank you.
You know what? Korby he dressed better than me. He had a better camera set up than me, kind of the rack focus in the back, a little bit of skew to the center. His hair was perfect. He had the heads set on. I was like, I'm a shit show. If I were you, I'd cut my ass loose.
But like Korby said, he doesn't normally dress like that. He messaged me and said, oh, do you mind if we change the time a little bit? Because he was doing something else. He normally is a very t-shirt guy. Korby is a t-shirt kind of a guy.
I appreciate him dressing up.
Yeah, so it was very good. So, I'm Melinda McKinsey.
Hang on, I was just saying, I forget I'm on national TV looking like this in about an hour.
Uh-oh.
I better get my S and a B.
Get your shit in a bag. Shirt on. What shirt are you going to wear?
You know what I'm wearing. Why do we even talk about it?
All right. Well, if you're on in an hour, I'll watch you. Would you know what part of the hour are you on?
I don't know. I was checking to see if they were texting me, because they text me and say, confirm you're on at 2:05 or whatever.
Okay.
But I haven't got that text. All right.
Very cool. All right. Well, what's your name?
What's my name? Don't ask a bunch of questions. Don't ask a question you don't know the answer to. It's like a lawyer. My name's Tom Wise.
And you've been unpacking some shit with us with our very special guest, Korby Lenker.
I loved it. And I love him.
Don't you just love Korby?
I'm anxious to listen to his stuff now.
Yeah,
I feel badly that I didn't. I should have prepared.
That's all right. Next time, son.
That's another one in the can. And see you on Monday. Have a wonderful weekend.
Yes, have a great weekend, everyone.
There you go.